What is up, guys? Zebec addressing the FUD. What am I doing? We're just going to get straight into it here. No intro video. Let's go into a little background of what happened. Okay. So I know everybody's up in arms. Does Zebec do burns? And Simon directly addressed it, which we'll go over. No, they don't do burns. Okay. Now, did he take burns off the table? He did not. Okay. But let's go back and address like how this all occurred, right? And where I'm at and what I'm doing. But I would say, just to kind of set things up, is the question if they do burns. It's not really the question of if they do burns or not. Again, Simon did not take that off the table. The question is, where will the liquidity come from? Where will the actual money come from in Zebec, the token itself? And we'll cover that here and what I'm doing here directly. Okay. So let's just take a little step back and say where this all kind of came from. The community was looking into like, does Zebec do burns? Does Zebec do burns? This was a really, let's say, this is a heated question for the community. They didn't know if this Zebec did burns or not. And a couple members of the community, shout out to Crypto God, X Gold 589, Joseph Razzo, and shout out to Mr. Foresight. Like, people are villainizing them, but I don't know that they deserve villainization for that. They just found what they researched, and they're good researchers, great researchers. Shout out to them. Like, no disrespect to them. Definitely follow both of them. I know Mr. Foresight or one of the two of them posed the question to Zebec, do you guys do burns? And Simon directly addressed it, and no, Zebec does not do burns. Now, one of the things I would say is, if you guys look at the latest tokenomics, which Zebec released, I believe, early January 2025, they have the word burn in here, but they do not say that they do burns in these tokenomics, and they haven't been changed. They say that they do buybacks, and they say what attributes to the buyback is linked to regular product revenues across payrolls, cards, and partner contracts. Buybacks are executed on a regular cadence and aligned with broader financial and operating cycles. Okay. So they say in here they do buybacks. They don't say that they do burns. So that hasn't changed, right? Where the revenue is going to come from Zebec is fees, right? And shout out to Simon. He gave us an exclusive interview at XRP Las Vegas, which my patrons have, they have access to this exclusive interview. I have a still from that interview. It's not popping up right now for whatever reason. We'll get back to that in a second. But yeah, so definitely we've known since 2 months ago that fees were going to be the major theme, but Simon also reiterated that in the latest spaces, which we'll listen to specifically that point where he told us fees are what's going to drive the product and what's going to drive the token forward. That to me is the basis of where Zebec is going to get his money from. And then we're going to analyze two various FUDs and how different coins have recovered from those FUDs. So I don't know how long you guys have been on crypto. This is like my second or third bull run. And how many Ethereum killers were they supposed to be, right? Because Ethereum had the terrible gas fees, like, all of these things, Solana, Polkadot, Avalanche, Harmony One, Zilliqa were deemed Ethereum killers. And really the only ones that are really kind of truly survived. So Solana's really thrived. That's like the only one you can say that, quote unquote, did it kill Ethereum though? It's working with it. Polkadot, it's questionable. Might say it's that Avalanche has survived. Of course, there's Cardano as well. It survived, but none of it killed. None of it killed Ethereum. But that was the big thing. Here, Ethereum with its gas fees will not survive, right? And then I don't know if you guys remember from back in the day, Solana, after the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing, good old Solana went down to $8. Let's see if I can pull that up for you guys really quickly. We look at the weekly chart here. You can see here in the end of 2022, Solana went from like 36 down to $8. Now, I want to show you some content that kind of flooded Solana. And if you know who these two people are, you know who they are. But here's what happened with them kind of flooding Solana. It went down to $8. And as you can see from the chart, right, it went on to pick up from this $8 and go up to $290, darn near $300 from $8, right? So let me take you back to the year 2022, late 2022. You'll recognize a couple people on here, possibly not, but you know, fair use on this here. Again, this was from November 19th, 2022. I showed you the price of Solana where it went down kind of after this from like $36 to $8 and went on to go up to from $8 to like 290, almost 300. But let's listen here.
Crypto's Bernie Madoff, really. Yes. There's a cult of personality around him, and he manipulated everyone. He played the game, and he's a very good actor, and he's smart, but in the wrong way.
Right.
And so he was, you know, he had that money from VCs. He also had, you know, access to all of the customer funds on FTX. And so this was just being, you know, pumped into bootstrapping these different projects, building on Solana. And remember, it's not building on Solana, it's really building on Amazon Web Services, just keep some tokens on Solana. And then these, you know, projects were fed into this kind of pipeline, right, which had been created by Apex VCs. And look, I certainly don't want to call those guys out for wrongdoing. Look, I'll just say it. Look, there's Andreessen Horowitz, which is a great firm. Sequoia's a great firm. Paradigm's a great firm. But so I don't want, you know, these guys, I'm absolutely clear, you know, these guys are not responsible for any wrongdoing. They were sucked into this Sam nightmare just in the same way as many others were. And they were, you know, having these dinners and things like that, these ostensibly Web3 dinners where, you know, Solana people be present and they'd be pitching Solana to them subtly, and there'd be Solana people that would follow up afterwards. So once, you know, through that network, into that network, they would feed these startup projects that Sam had kind of bootstrapped by committing, you know, a couple of $1 million funding, say, or even much more in some cases. I mean, some of these projects got huge amounts of funding. I mean, tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. And then they'd get, you know, additional funding from this sort of network of VCs. So that's how it worked, right? And then there became this kind of meme, if you like, this kind of belief in that venture community and much more widely in the among institutional investors, that you can't beat Sam Bankman-Fried in this Solana ecosystem, right? There's just so much money here.
So that's enough. But you can see here, you know, allegedly, let's just say allegedly, because I'm not, you know, let's say allegedly, but he claims that nothing's built on Solana. You know, really, it's just Amazon Web Services. And, you know, he doesn't really blame Andreessen Horowitz or anything like that. He says they didn't really know. This was all Sam Bankman-Fried's doing, allegedly. And basically, he frames it like Solana's just this meme coin chain, and there's nothing, you know, there's nothing to do about it. There's nothing to do about it. So that's just one example here where Okay. And I showed you another one earlier, the whole ETH killer type thing, right? Here's the whole Solana is nothing but a scam and nothing's built on Solana thing. Let's go into one that you guys might remember. Let's take you back to the year 2025, January 24th, 2025. You can no longer find these tweets because Justin Sun deleted them. Justin Sun came out and he accused Chain. Let me try to blow this up here. 1 second here. So Justin Sun came out and he accused Chain of, it says, if you guys can't see it, I'm trying to blow it up. It won't blow up that much here. Yep, it's not doing it. So, which is, he says, XCN Chain is currently engaging in significant market manipulation. They are using high leverage and contract that would seriously harm too many exchange users. I recommend that major exchanges pay close attention to this risk. We will report their illegal activities to the SEC, DOJ for further investigation. He tags Coinbase, Kraken, Bybit, his own exchange, XTC, and KuCoin. He also eventually in that chain tagged the SEC and the DOJ. And do you know what ultimately came out of this? Ultimately, Justin Sun ended up getting 5 million tokens from XCN. Allegedly, there was a vote, there was a governance vote, and all of this, right? Where Justin Sun got 500 million XCN tokens from a governance vote. All of this stuff that he alleged and all of that was just dropped. And now Justin Sun is a part of XCN. So you got all of these different FUD campaigns in which XCN has done fine after this. Ethereum, no one killed Ethereum. And Solana went on to be very, very lucrative right afterwards, right? So that's what happened, right? So that's that. And as always, guys, go ahead and put your comments into the chat. We'll get to them at the end of the show like we normally do here. Now, is Zebec the same project before all of this stuff about Burns came up? Yes, it is. But really, where is everything supposed to come from? All the liquidity in this project really doesn't matter too much about the burns. Matters more about the fees, okay? And we can look here from the most recent tokenomics that they gave us. Institutional clients and employers using Zebec's payroll platform are required to pay service and product fees in ZBCN, okay? And since most employers are going to use stable coins instead of holding ZBCN directly, we can just skip to the second clause, which is use of stablecoin balances, which are automatically converted into ZBCN at the time fees are assessed. So doesn't matter if you're using USDC Circle, which is invested in Zebec, or USD1, which is Trump's World Liberty Financial stablecoin, which works with Zebec, or if you're using Euro AU, which that government, they're working with Zebec, with Deutsche Bank, and Zebec's doing government payments for them, right? No matter what stablecoin balance you're using, well, especially when it comes to payroll and disbursement products, automatically your fees get converted into ZBCN at the time that the fees are assessed. That's where the volume's coming from. Not Burns, is coming from this, right? And Simon told us so. He said so in the interview, the exclusive interview he gave on the channel. Definitely check out the Patreon. Shout out to the Patreon. We less than a cup of coffee. We did an open mic night last night. went 3 hours. They're always scheduled for 1. We go 3. Shout out to the patrons. But let's have Simon tell us in his own words from the last spaces about the product, about ZBCN, and how the fees are assessed.
Stablecoin balances in your vaults within the Zebec super app, as well as virtual bank accounts. So at this point, the super app has really replaced any banking app out there, as you have all the crypto functionality you could need, you have the spending functionality, and you have real bank accounts if you need to make traditional wire transfers or ACH payments.
So that's important. The reason I left that in there is because the super app is basically going to replace a bank account for people. And the fees. But we'll talk about that more once we finish this clip with Simon here.
So we're currently offering all of this right now in the super app as a free product for early users. We're planning to slowly introduce paid features within the app, which will be paid in ZBCN, and we'll continue fee-free loads in stablecoins on all Zebec cards, which we know is a huge selling point for our customers as well as our community members. So that's going nowhere. But Zebec holdings, so ZBCN token holdings, will be required to unlock some of these future features of the super app, and in some cases can help reduce or eliminate fees for users. So this is really our way of rewarding both our holders, beyond just the basic staking rewards that you can earn.
Yeah,
Zebec products to the fullest.
That's awesome. It was actually, again, you are good today, Simon, because you're covering my next questions, which is like, how do, I guess we could say super app and enterprise products, like we've already spoken about, how do they generate value differently? And I think you've just touched on that. And how does that progress from a revenue perspective connect back to the ZBCN token?
It's a great question. I think it's an important distinction. I mean, at the end of the day, our products are based on fees. The enterprise payroll product is based on employer fees and transaction fees. And given that our primary goal right now is to build traction with corporate clients and really scale this product, in many of our early pilot programs, fees are initially waived if an employer, for example, is holding an initial threshold of ZBCN. Now, with time, as more clients and users are onboarded, we'll have more and more fees paid in ZBCN, but we always expect to keep the cost of a stablecoin payroll offering like Zebec to be a fraction of the cost of some of the traditional payroll systems out there that run on legacy banking infrastructure. I mean, that is core to our value proposition. The super app on the other side, of course, is offered as a free solution now, as I mentioned, for our early retail users at Zebec. But we will be adding in fees with time paid in ZBCN or require a staked balance of ZBCN to unlock features or mitigate some of the fees paid. So it's really important to remember that market share growth right now is our #1 priority. We're in the early stages, of course, of the stablecoin market and this digitization of finance. And Zebec really is one of the forerunners right now in the stablecoin payroll industry. So our strategy is centered around new customer wins, client acquisition at this stage, rather than purely maximizing revenue or token buybacks. That being said, we have a lot planned to further increase the buyback mechanism of the ZBCN token.
There you go. Next question.
So he said it, and he said it in a couple different ways. But basically right now, they have 0 fees, and they're focusing on customer acquisition. And then once they acquire customers, enough customers, then they're going to have increased fees. They're going to hit them with the fees. Now, again, definitely check out the Patreon where we have an exclusive interview with Simon. He said that to us like a couple months ago, right? And this is like, think of it as kind of the Netflix principle. Think of it as the Twitter principle, as in you got something for free, but now Twitter says, okay, pay us for the blue check mark. If you want to be validated as a valid source of news on our app, pay us for a blue check mark. Or if you want to even be a valid company, pay us for the gold check mark. Our Netflix, well, they made it very, very cheap for you in the beginning, but as time went on, they increased the subscription fee, increased the subscription fee, and now you got to pay more. You got to pay more to get those shows that you want. I even hear now some printers are doing it so that you can't print on your printer that you bought unless you pay a subscription fee. You know what I mean? So these are the way. And with the super app, you can almost think about it like how people say have more than one source of income? Well, on the super app, you have more than one source of fees, right? One, if someone sends a remittance payment, which they're going to have remittance payments on the super app, their fees there. Of course, we know also Zebec has a card product. When you swipe your card, there are fees there. You're getting paid payroll by the second. There might be at some point some fees related to getting paid by the second, right? They're handling treasury. You might have your own treasury in which you do some sending of money to different investments. There are fees there. The moment you get paid, now you have all these ways to use your money, all of which are probably going to require fees. And again, if you're doing something like having tiered rewards and where you want to get reduced fees or maybe like some coupons or something like that, then you're going to have to diamond hand and lock up your ZBCN in order to have reductions of fees or in order to have, maybe certain, like reduction of fees, certain coupons, certain enhanced rewards. You'll have to lock ZBCN to do that, meaning you'll probably have to convert some of your stable coins into ZBCN, or you might have to pay for something in ZBCN to get a certain thing on the app. Let's say, I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but think about some apps that you use like Klarna or different things like that, where they'll offer you a coupon or they'll offer you like 15% off Sephora if you do something like this or you make a certain amount of purchases. This is the super app. This is how I can imagine it working in the future here. So in the same spaces, Simon addressed that there was no burn and that they would be looking into adding some burn towards the end of the year. Let's see if we can bring that up right quick here.
We are focused on the future. We're focused on growth as a company. We track a lot of key KPIs in terms of adoption, and we've seen month-over-month growth this year, even in a down market. So we're really excited about what the second half of the year has to come, and there'll be a lot of exciting announcements in the next few weeks as well.
Amazing.
Okay.
Continue to kind of like really, really have the kind of like the gumption and the really push on and start to develop those things. And I'm really grateful for you talking specifically about like those side of things. And I'm also really, really grateful for you talking really openly and honestly about like the burn back questions and things like that I was speaking about and kind of skirting around a moment ago. I think, from a community perspective, and I'm speaking here as a community member, I'm always so bullish about the things that we're building and the networking that's going on and the different clients and consumers and all of those things. They really, really make me feel bullish. But it's also really important to kind of like know that, yes, the kind of deflationary token and all of those things that are still being looked at. So I'm really grateful for you taking the time to kind of answer on both sides. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add to that.
Well, we've been now asked a few times regarding token burns at Zebec, and I think it's important to give some context to the community and maybe people that are more recently part of the Zebec community. It's something that we've reconsidered, in light of our growth this past year. But in the past, we had a vote to the Zebec community against a burn proposal, and hence why our buyback program has actually not included token burns. But given the growth this year, we are reconsidering potentially relaunching a vote on this topic towards the end of the year, which would then allow for ZBCN token burning to resume as part of the buyback program. So that's something that we can look forward to towards the end of the year, and I think we'll have more updates on that as we continue to revise and enhance our tokenomics with the growth of the business.
That is actually amazing. I think that's a really, I'm sure so many people in the community will feel so positive about that, just even as an option.
So Simon addressed it. There are no burns. And, kudos to him for directly addressing it. So yeah, but he earlier answered the question that fees are where it's at. And I see that being very, very lucrative for the platform because there's multiple ways they can get fees on the super app. So one other thing before we go into the comments here, we had some news in which they followed NTT data on their platform on Zebec Twitter. NTT Data is a huge IT company, right? And Simon had told us that we could hear something coming up from an IT partner, right? So the fact that they're following NTT Data, and they have on their site here, NTT Data, the trusted global innovator of business and technology services. We're committed to helping clients transform for the long-term success. NTT Data is an investor in Securitize, company that just went public here. Securitize, really, really huge company. You can see here they got investors like Ripple, Ripio, Paxos, Nomura, Circle, Coinbase Ventures, some of which are invested in Zebec, by the way, like Circle, BlackRock, ARK Invest, Aptos, Ava Labs, Tezos. Huge investors here when it comes to Securitize. Securitize went public via Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald has some connections to Tether. They also have connections to regulated Tether. They also have connections to President Trump as well. So huge partner there on board with NTT Data. We already know that Zebec is partnered with Ripple. We already know Zebec is partnered with Circle. We already know they're partnered with Stellar. None of these things have changed about the project. The only thing that quote unquote changed, and I would say that it didn't change because it was here in the new tokenomics all along. Only thing that changed is people's perception or thought about whether they did burns or not. So same project to me. I might even buy some more at these low values. What is it like Warren Buffett said, when people are greedy, be fearful, and when people are, how does it go? When people are fearful, be greedy. When people are greedy, be fearful. Something like that. Well, people are fearful now, so the time to go scoop up is now, right? So it's up to you on what you think about what was uncovered, quote unquote uncovered, right? Because it was always there, quote unquote uncovered. But for me, Foresight's not a villain in this. Joseph Razzo, Foresight's technology guy, his research guy, he's not a villain in this, nor is Zebec a villain in this. Same project to me. And Simon did not close the door on burns. So for me, I'm still cool on where I am with Zebec, and I might even grab some more at this price. I don't know if you guys have been up on the news, but Trump has said he wanted clarity passed by the end of the week. If I had 5 cents for every time we heard that, right? But again, this might be the time. But let's get into some of these comments here. What's up, Cesari Grizzlack? I hope I said that right. Good evening, everybody. What's up, King Pound 1? Brother Rue, let's freaking go. Best regards from Poland. What's up, Poland? That's a place I want to visit one of these days. One of my friends, he's half Polish. How's the weather out there? Not too bad. It's been rainy the last 2 days here in Scottsdale, but I don't know. Maybe you might mean how's the weather in Poland. But in Scottsdale here, it's been a little rainy. I don't like the cloudy days, even though I'm from Detroit, which is almost always cloudy. But You know, the sun's back out here because it doesn't like once it's cloudy and rainy, the sun comes right back out here within an hour, which I love. Salute Rue in the chat. What's up, Carlton Way? Smash the like and subscribe, everyone. Yes, definitely smash the like and subscribe, guys. We're on our way to 10K subs. We're at 9,700 now. Seems to be growing by 100 like every couple weeks. So we're gonna get there. Very, very happy about that. Thank you guys so much for being subs around here. Really appreciate it. Let's keep going here. My man. My man.
My man.
D. Let's see here. Chilling like a villain, brother Rue. Good to see King Pound. I hope all with Zebec is good. It's good to me. It's weird. A lot of people complaining about the burn, which has been addressed. Nobody complaining about Zebec technology partnerships or compliances. That's why I'm balls deep in Zebec. Shout out to you, King Pound. Let's give you the leaving with something.
Yeah. I see a big tray. I'm like, I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
Yeah, buying and smiling here. I'm hodling all the time. Shout out to the Fusters. I bought their bags. What's up, XRP Nick? Exactly. It's been changed, Rue, and that's the problem. They said they had changed the paperwork. That's why he's being villainized. Everyone should do their research and give constructive criticism. Now, they did change the Mika white paper, but they updated it to say we don't do anything algorithmic, right? So it wasn't, again, like I said, in this document where they gave the tokenomics, the updated tokenomics, they don't say that they do burns. And this was updated January 2026. They don't say that they do burns here. But they did update the Mika white paper to say, look, we don't do any burns. We don't do any algorithmic. I can't speak straight today. Like algorithm. Algorithmic. Yeah, algorithmic. There we go. We don't do any algorithmic things, including burns. We don't do that. So that's what they updated the white paper to say. It wasn't something like they did something like nefarious. You know what I mean? Let's continue. Rise above, morning, bro. Rue Crew from down under. Appreciate it. What's up, Rise Above? Rue Crew member in the house. Shout out to the Patreon. You guys make the dream work out here. Let's see here. Streaming online. I have as well. He blatantly said they changed it. Yeah. We addressed that. No, they didn't lie about tokenomics at all. There's no lie about tokenomics. This is what they had in this tokenomics document. It's been published since January 2026. It has not changed. There was no lie about tokenomics. How's it going, Rue? What's the word, brother? What's up, David F. Jr.? If anything, look at the FUD as a buying opportunity. Most influencers are paid. So it's just rotation from one project to another. When one is done, they FUD it and they move on to another. Let's start that comment from Stevie ZBCN. This has a lot of truth to it. I'm not alleging anybody of foul doing or anybody of like pump and dumping, but a lot of pump and dumping does go on in the space, right? I'm not alleging that of anybody that I've spoken about tonight. Today. I'm not. But what Stevie's saying right there is very true of a lot of people, but not any of the people I talked about tonight. Caught lying on their, well, they didn't lie on the Mika paper. They didn't lie on it. They added to it. They never said on the Mika paper that they did burns. They didn't say that. And I know for sure, because I always reference this document, they never said on this document that they do burns. Burn is in there once, but that's it. It's not said on here that burns happen. And it's been not said on here that burns happen. It's been what the document's been. Buybacks. That's what it's been. Now, if you want to debate if that's deflationary or not, now you have an argument. We could debate that. Is that deflationary? If you're not buying, if you're not burning, well, that's up to you to say that or not. I don't think that's really the point. It's like, is Tesla deflationary? Is Tesla stock deflationary? If anything, those stocks, they'll do stock splits and add more supply, which just adds more and more liquidity to things like Tesla, to things like what else has done stock splits? Nvidia, right? So Tesla doesn't do any stock splits. Nvidia doesn't do any stock splits, or I'm sorry, isn't deflationary, but we buy that, right? So I kind of urge people to kind of put things in perspective on you hear all of these buzzwords like burn and all of this stuff, and you really don't think about it logically. And like, if people are getting paid by the second and there's all this liquidity, let's take it back to at the time fees are assessed, balances get automatically converted into ZBCN. If somebody is in an area like the MENA area, the Dubai area, right? Like the Philippines, Latin America, where they're going to do tons and tons of remittance services, sending back and forth to their family members. And a lot of that happens, right? I think if you guys are in a place like Scottsdale or a place where there are a lot of Latinos, you understand a lot of them send money back home to people in Latin America, in Mexico and in South America. Remittance is a huge, huge business. And of course, remember, they do have a card attached to the Super app. So there are fees every time you swipe your card. So they have a plethora of ways to garner fees from the Super app. And the funny and the greatest part, not funny, but the greatest part is it's already in use right now. They're doing it right now. People are using the Super app right now to do this, right? So this is not something where it's like, oh, it may happen, it might be possible. Nope, they're using it and they're doing it right now in the UAE and in the places that use World Liberty Financial, right? Let's bring that up here. Payroll meets USD1. They're doing this right now. USD1 enabled payroll, streaming earned pay in real time, running bulk transfers in one click, setting token vesting schedules, access employer and employee dashboards, onboard team members as well via email with walletless onboarding coming soon. So they're already doing stuff like this right now with the Super app when it comes to USD1. They're already doing stuff in the Super app when it comes to GBP, right? The British pound, right? So none of that's changed. Let's continue on here. Where are we? There we go. No FUD about Zebec partnerships, technology, and compliances. That's what really matters, 100%. Reminds me of the Dogecoin killers that didn't stop it. Doge is still a meme king. Exactly. Like, how many killers can we bring up, right? Quote unquote killers, Dogecoin killers, Ethereum killers, and they're still going. And Tron was supposed to be, or some things were supposed to kill Tron or whatever. Tron's still going, Binance still going, BNB still going, Ethereum still going. I buy more XRP or XLM instead. Well, I own all three: XRP, XLM, and Zebec. But in a lot of ways, with the super app, you could kind of make a case that Zebec's tokenomics can be a little bit better. Mind you, right? Shout out to Longview Compute. Shout out to our guy Scott. I was watching this show and somebody mentioned there that XRP only gets like $365 in fees a day or something like that. And people don't understand. Well, that's the whole point. With XRP, they're supposed to be a bridge currency. They're not looking to get a lot of money in fees. The whole thing's about being a bridge currency. However, Zebec, with streaming payroll and remittance payments and all the things that are tied to a bank account, yes, Zebec is going to get a lot when it comes to fees. Just think about all the fees that your bank levies to you. Like if you're using your debit card to withdraw money at a certain place that's not your bank's debit machine, you gotta, there's a $2.50 charge. Like literally every fee that you could attribute to your bank account, Zebec can now garner that fee. Now think about that worldwide, not just a little credit union bank. No, think about that for a stream payroll platform that's worldwide, and that will give you a good idea of how many fees that they can get. Right, like it's exponential. It's exponential. Zebec tokens are used in every transaction. Buybacks are taken out of circulation. Sounds deflationary to me. Star that. I never heard Simon say that there wasn't an official partnership with Ripple. I've never heard him say that at all. In fact, I've heard him say that there is official partnership with Ripple. He confirmed that on stage at the XRP Las Vegas conference, which Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz were present at, which he then afterwards interviewed with Paul Barron. So all of those people, like, I'm sorry, bro, the Ripple partnership was consummated. It was official. It was confirmed. I don't imagine that they would allow him on that stage to speak if that partnership was not confirmed. I was there. So I saw him on stage. He went on right after Brad Garlinghouse. So what up, Rue? Good afternoon, player. Loving all of this misinformation going on. What's up, Jose De La Torre? What, have their partnership? Sure. You're not converting your paychecks to ZBCN, and nor do you need to convert your paycheck to ZBCN. The thing is to stream payroll via stablecoins. And here's the thing to understand about that. The future is stablecoins. Hands down. Stablecoins give the powers that be more control over the dollar. It is the tokenized dollar. It is, as Gilbert Verdian of Quant has said, programmable money. And believe me, like, that's just where everything is happening. It's where it's going. These organizations, these companies, they want to program money. The programmable money is more usable. It has a higher velocity with that money. It's money done better for them, right? It's so much harder to try to now say, okay, we're going to do dollars and we're going to convert those dollars into rupees or ruples, or we're going to convert those dollars into yen. That's so much of a painstaking process when you can do this via ISO 2002 and stable coins and almost instantly convert to any fiat currency you want via those stable coins. You can go almost instantly from a US dollar to a dirham to a British pound to a yen to whatever via the technology, via the web. There's no way that people are going to want to do it the old way, where it's going to be fee on top of fee to go from dollar to dirham to whatever. This is better for the entire world, right? So that's what you got to get there. So ZBCN is stablecoin agnostic. It doesn't matter which stablecoin you use. In the end, the fees get converted to ZBCN. That's just easier. They made it that way so that they can work with any stablecoin. That makes pure and total sense to me. And if you know that this is the way that world's going, where essentially you'll need a digital ID in order to make a purchase, you just will. And in a lot of ways in America, we're already there. You pretty much use your digital ID, which is your Google Pay or your Apple Pay, to do payments. And that's where the world's headed. You must be known to do payments. It's not just sufficient enough to use a dollar or a yen or whatever. Now, here's the fun fact. A dollar is a central bank currency. The dollar is a currency approved by the central bank. So whether it's a dollar or a CBDC or a stable coin, it still needs to be approved by the central bank. Doesn't matter, right? It's just our perception and what people think and what they perceive. All of those things are central bank things. A dollar, a stable coin, a CBDC. All of them are central bank things. But two out of the three of them, the CBDC and the stablecoin, are programmable, right? And easily transferable. So that's where we're heading. Ask ADP and Deutsche Bank. Indeed. You got him.
Gotcha, bitch.
Got him. Let's continue on. Right. I don't know what that is. Free the Tates, yeah. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate got again for something. I wouldn't mind being paid by the hour into my wallet. Indeed. What's up, Joshua? Tree Heavy Hauling. Appreciate you coming through, brother. Getting paid sooner is obviously a plus. Indeed. But they'll pay you in stablecoin. Of course, they'll pay you in stablecoin. This is why Zebec set this clause up the way they set it up. Use of stablecoin balances, which are automatically converted into ZBCN at the time fees are assessed. They can use any stablecoin. Doesn't matter. Euro, AU, USDC, USDT, USD1, USDG. It does not matter to them. But in the end, the program transfers the fees into ZBCN. That's the best way for them, because now they can use, it doesn't matter where they are in the world. It doesn't matter where you are globally. The whole system will translate into whatever stablecoin you want. This is the whole purpose of ISO 20022. So instead of the banking system being fragmented, it's now universal globally. They all use the same system. It's all the same interface. Doesn't matter which stablecoin you're using. the system recognizes it and is able to translate it into any form of fiat, period, possible, right? And that's a lot better than the old archaic system in which one bank couldn't communicate to another one. If you're in New Delhi, you can't communicate to somebody over in like America. Like people from South America can't send up money to the US. It's easier to send money to the US to South America, but if you're trying to do it South America to US, can't really do it. Can't really bank the unbanked because fees take so much. It's pointless for you to try to go bank somebody in the middle of like Brazil living in the jungle because it's too many fees. But in comes something like ISO 2002. Well, now everything, the fees are very minuscule. So now you bring in something like agentic AI. You can have all these machines, all these bots running, and a penny to 2 pennies like profit for you is now great because the profit is minuscule. Now imagine hooking up all those bots to never ending programs and they just go unearned. All those pennies add up after a while, right? So it's hard to kind of conceptualize, but this is the future. Trouble for my employer, though, is if they also need to get paid, delay in payroll of 2 weeks allows them time to get paid also. Well, that's the thing that everybody keeps debating. Like, oh, well, employers kind of make money by delaying your paycheck. But now imagine everything works where it's near instant. Well, some employers, if they're doing corp to corp, it'll take them a whole month to pay you, right? Or it'll take them a whole month to get paid on an invoice, and then they pay you every 2 weeks. Get rid of that whole crazy system, and then everybody just gets paid real time. So now what that does is create, and you see this with payroll, right? Let me see if I can bring that up here. You create a system that now everybody's getting paid instantly. So definitely now there are going to be companies that make sure people get paid instantly. And they're going to take advantage of making sure that everybody meets payroll almost immediately. One of those companies Zebec has on board, which is Payroll. Zebec has partnered with Payroll Finance to fuse real-time stablecoin payroll with on-demand payroll lending, giving businesses instant liquidity and borderless payouts. Zebec's PayBridge unit has successfully tested Payroll's lending tool with select clients. Over the past year, we'll be rolling out payroll access, stablecoin, payroll use cases in our ecosystem. So now, instead of that company getting paid month to month, which is usually, I guess, how business to business pays go, now they're getting paid instantly and they're paying you instantly. And there are companies like this that are there to meet the gap in case there's real-time payroll payment gaps. A payroll steps up and says, okay, well, we can pay you this until you get paid. We'll give you what X amount of interest rate, and that'll be what it is, right? But this is like, you got to imagine kind of down the road, once everybody's using real-time payroll, everybody's going to get paid real time, and there are going to be like no gaps where, okay, employer's going to take a month to pay a business, and that business is going to take 2 weeks to pay its employees. All of that stuff is going to be gone. Well, there are tons of cryptos with liquidity, but what separates Zebec is that they actually have the compliances, the SOC 2s, the MiCAs, the FCAs, and they actually have a working product that's generating revenue right now. Okay. Another crypto like that is Near, that I talk about a lot. I'm going to continue to have shows on Near, even though those shows don't do as well as my Zebec shows. Near is another product where with their Near intents and what they're doing with X402 2 and agentic AI, they're getting revenue in the door right now, right? There are not too many cryptocurrencies that are getting revenue right now, right? I'm also an investor in Handle. I don't know that Handle is getting the revenue that Zebec is getting right now, right? They might do burns or whatever, but are they getting the revenue that Zebec is getting right now? I don't think so. And again, this is coming from someone who's invested in Handle, but I'm higher on Zebec at this point in time. Fudsters, LOL. Again, no FUD about the technology partnerships and compliances. Show proof, I'll wait. 5 years, dang. Hoping. What's up, Phantom Beat? No, they weren't lying in their white paper. If you ever use the super app, used to need to So yeah, as far as the streaming payroll technology goes, Zebec is the only one that I know that does it on this scale. Only other closest one that does it like to this scale is Metallicus. Yeah, Metallicus. Stronghold. I know they do that translation of different stable coins, but Metallicus does do some streaming payroll. But I think ZBCN. So yeah, between Metallicus and ZBCN, those will be the two that I know that have the compliances, the SOC 2s and the ISO 2002s and the FCAs and all of that. Between those two companies, those are the only two that I know that do streaming payroll. I beg to differ with that. I think we're waiting for everything to happen as far as regulation is concerned. And then once the regulations are in place, streaming payroll is going to happen because it's going to be a must. The way that inflation is going, people cannot afford to wait to 2 weeks to get their paycheck. Like, dead honest, people can't afford it. We've been doing these shows here on a Patreon. Shout out to the Patreon. There are people of all different colors and genders and stuff saying, I can't afford my house note. I can't afford rent. I can't afford my car bill. I can't afford, like, streaming payroll is going to be a necessity, especially when it comes to America. And the way things are going with robotics and X402 and these AI agents, people are more and more going to lose their jobs. That's a fact. Let's see here. No, they didn't lie about that. The vote that they had, no one voted for Burns. Now, I don't know if that's a lie or not. No one voted for Burns. Maybe they had a quick vote or whatever, but it is what it is. No one voted for Burns according to their vote. Hey, Rue, any update for Pay AI? On the Patreon for sure. On the Patreon for sure. Especially if you stream by the minute every hour, that's 60 ZBCN for 18-hour shift. That's 480 ZBCN by that time. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know how they're gonna break down the fees as far as that goes, but fact of the matter is there are going to be fees for the streaming payroll. There are going to be fees for card swipes. I'm sure there will be fees for remittance payments. I'm sure there'll be fees if you want to take your money, because they also mentioned MoneyGram, that they're going to have connections in the MoneyGram, and that's for the remittance. I'm sure if you want to take your money and like take it and like put it into a different bank account, or like put it into like fiat, there will be a little fee there. So all of that's going to go into ZBCN, the token, right? So that's ZBCN literally taking some of the value that's in these stable coins and bringing it to their token. Because if you guys look and see, you might not notice, but a lot of value in cryptocurrency right now is in these stable coins. Like, let me show you here. 24 hours, last 24 hours, most of the, look at the top. And I don't know if these show everything, right? But of the top 15 in the last 24 hours, Tether and USDC, top 5. Two of the top 5 with the most volume in the billions are stable coins. I don't know if they show RLUSD on here. I don't see it, so we don't. Okay, there it is. So, and gotta believe this goes up a lot from here, right? And every time I think RLUSD is minted, a little bit of XRP is burnt. But you can see here, some of the cryptos we talk about are towards the top of the list. Near XRP, this is just 24-hour volume, right? But 3 of the top 10, or let's just say 3 of the top 8, World Liberty Financial stablecoin, USDC stablecoin, and USDT stablecoin. So whoever's going to be pulling some value from these stablecoins and putting it in their token, well, that's where the most value is going to come from. And Zebec is one of those tokens. No, we never said that they would get paid in ZBCN. They're not. They're getting paid in stable coins, and the fees are going to go into ZBCN. That was never a claim of ZBCN. They never, ever, ever, ever made that claim. What do you seeking him? There's stream stable coins. You're spreading fun on purpose. Yep. Thanks for the clarity. No problem, Mr. Video Man. Do your own research where the OS, the FUD about Zebec's technology, partnerships, and compliance. Stop running. Listening to Nart, D. Curry, Haga people. Maybe reserve rights. Reserve rights is another good one. Joshua Tree Heavy Hauling is bringing the alpha with a couple coins in here that he dropped so far. Metallica's Stronghold and reserve rights. Josh Laser, Zebec is buying back their own tokens. They are. Indeed. That shows the company is bullish on ZBCN tokens. Indeed. Just like Near. Near is another company that is doing buybacks on its own token. And well, let's just kind of bring that up right now. I'll probably do a separate show on Near. But Near, don't sleep on Near, guys. Especially since they might be integrated with NVIDIA in some ways. Okay, let's bring it up. Doing it live here. Let's go to the bookmarks. So near, they just passed some governance to eliminate 30% in developer gas fees. So now 100% of the gas fees go to, and they say even here, they say burns, but it's not burns, it's a buyback. And then they have it here. Near is accelerating towards deflationary status, not as a slogan, as a measurable function of protocol revenue versus insurance issuance, excuse me. And if we can kind of blow this up. They said, despite macro conditions, Near's volume capture rate, quoting efficiency are compounding to increase protocol revenue and push Near towards deflationary threshold where buybacks outpace its issuance. Okay, so even Near its buybacks are outpacing the issuance. Okay. No, that's a little different because Near has an infinite supply. So they're always minting. It's kind of like Canton a little bit in that aspect where they have kind of almost a burn mint equilibrium. But it's what it is there. Yeah, I'm high on Metallicus. I like Metallicus a lot. This is not financial advice, but I'm holding, but not limited to SHX, Telcoin, Flare, ATH, and Velo. Zebec has only bought back around 1 million, according to Unicorn Girl here. Uphold holds the custody of those buybacks. I like Stronghold and Telcoin too. I like those as well. I hold both of those as well. Indeed. Yeah, I'm not putting my eggs in one basket either. I feel you on that one. Okay, so Unicorn Girl says that they only bought back 1 million. I don't know how true that is. At least all this FUD will shake out all the non-believers and we'll have left as the true believers hit the bricks. Indeed. And just like I just showed you guys with Solana, with Ethereum, with XCN, people people are gonna FUD and then they're gonna take advantage, scoop up what people drop, and what happens later. Good projects with the right people behind them are just going to succeed. Happens every time. And while it was true, Ethereum had a gas problem, right? That the gas was too expensive. Ethereum fixed it, and it since went on from like whatever price it was, like hundreds of dollars to $5,000. Back down to $2,000, around $2,000, but no one killed it. No one killed it. Solana went all the way down to $8. People are saying it was left for dead, FTX and all of this stuff. But what does Solana do? Go on to grow for so much, right? Just from $8 to like 200 and something, right? If you were, if you put like $10,000 into Solana at $8, you would be so happy right now, right? I think that is coming for certain coins like Zebec, right? Like Metallicus. I meant XPR, not RSR. No problem, Joshua Tree. And Unicorn Girl says, wish you all luck with Zebec. No problem, Unicorn Girl. Glad Zebec community is having this discussion because everyone will learn and grow from this even Zebec. Indeed. And that's the thing. It's just to have good discourse. You know, nobody's being a villain for just presenting research. You know, again, shout out to Foresight and Joseph Razzo. Like, no one's the villain here. You know, you decide where you're going to go with your Zebec investments from here, and you know, just take the research for what it is. For me, I'm still holding strong. I like everything that they've shown, the partnerships, the fact that they're making money right now. I'm good, but you know, let's not villainize people for what they found. But let's also clear up the misinformation. In the last, like I said, in the last tokenomics they gave, they do not mention that they give burns. They don't mention that. And Simon came and confirmed it. Okay, Bray Dent Tubbs, what potential is being said for Zebec? Well, I definitely think they break their all-time high, which is 5 cents, but I think they go like way beyond that. If you look at the people behind it, as far as Stellar, as far as Ripple, I think that Zebec is an integral part to what Stellar and Ripple do. So to me, I think 5 cents, they're going to break totally beyond 5 cents. Just be careful, and to some of your points, all cryptos have FUD, but I literally caught them red-handed lying in their Mika. But again, to me, what they said in their Mika was an update. I hope my 1 billion is back, and I'll wait for a few years. Indeed. Okay, I'll have to listen to this again. You keep saying that he said that it wasn't an official partnership, but he was on he was literally on the XRP Las Vegas thing. I literally went to that, and he announced it there. So I don't know what you think you heard from that, but I can't imagine that he would go onto stage. They know what this man is going to say with the partnership. He goes on right after Brad Garlinghouse, and that he would go on and say something that wasn't true and wasn't cemented. That makes 0 sense to me. At a conference in which Brad Kimes has thrown and has done really great. Shout out to Digital Perspectives, which David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse were present at, right? Mind you. So I can't imagine that not being official. But I'll have to review the spaces to see if that was said. But I really can't imagine that being said. I can't imagine that. Yeah, I'll re-listen to the spaces, but I really can't imagine that. Like, why in God's earth would Simon allow would Brad and David Schwartz allow Simon to say that on stage at the XRP Las Vegas conference, and then on top of that, Paul Barron interviews Simon, and then on top of that, people like Zach Rector and things interview Simon. It just that doesn't make any sense to me. There, Unicorn Girl. I you know, but I'll check it out again to just make sure that was said or wasn't said. But thank you for coming through. I always appreciate respectful discourse, man, and it's always allowed over here. What about the actual partnerships besides Excel and Stellar? Stellar, that's known as well. Listening is art. Shawnee Sean, thank you. Rue. Where's their blood in the streets? Lewis Watson, I can count the times I sold my Zebec and brought back in. No clear row for it. So I'm all XRP and XLM only. That's totally up to you, Lewis Watson. I can understand that if that's how you feel. I'm in all three. Forever Not Foreign, I'm just going to keep buying. It's still the same project. DCA is the only way. Indeed. Unicron girl getting feisty in the comments over here. I see that. Shout out to her. Hello from sunny California. Win some Swift C vids. Yeah, I got to get some more Swift vids in here for sure. Nosy neighbor, yo, been waiting for this video. What's up? Shout out to Crypto Crossroads Show. Crypto Crossroads Show dropping some knowledge here lately on Pact. Definitely go over to Crypto Crossroads Show. If you guys don't follow him on X, you're truly missing out on some luxurious alpha here. Let's bring him up on X, and let's also bring up his YouTube channel. So he dropped some alpha on Pact. First person I saw to drop some alpha on Pact here. And shout out to you, Crypto Crossroads Show, for that. I know Max and I and the Coin Vault, we covered it as well. But as far as I can remember, I think you might have been the first to cover it, brother. So shout out to Crypto Crossroads Show here. Definitely come over to his YouTube and check it out. Let's bring up his YouTube here right quick for you guys. Okay, this is set to notificate. It's coming up. But let's bring up his YouTube here. But definitely follow him on X as well, because he drops some alpha on X before he sometimes get the videos out. But if you want to know where to find him, come on over to my channel. We'll get that up here. On the home page, and then mosey yourself on down here. See my guys under our research channel. You'll see Shook Focus Digital. Shout out to Shook. I think he was on with Rob today. Crypto Future. Shout out to them. Shout out to Maximus Crypto. Shout out to Mooniverse. Got to get Mooney back on here. Shout out to Gentlemen of Crypto. Shout out to NYC Odd App. Shout out to Simon Family Investment. Benzinga, One-on-One Media, Crypto Future, Ronin Experience, and our guy Crypto Crossroads Show. So let's see what he has coming up here. Yeah, so we know he has a whole plethora of videos coming out on this. Pack Labs, Tether. Okay, definitely come check this out. Cello, Swift Labs, and Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Now, here's the thing, guys, with that. Here's the thing that people don't say and they don't mention. It's hard for people on that side of the world to send payments upward. So, like, people can send stuff to them, right? From the US to them. But when they're trying to send it up, like from wherever the hell they are in Latin America, in that area, Africa and Asia, to the US, it is very hard for them. There's a lot of fees involved. Some of their banks aren't even set up to do it. Okay. So that's some of the things that we don't understand as Americans. But you listen to some of these shows like the Stablecoin podcast, different things like that. They'll tell you about how this is a difficult thing. So ISO 2002 is needed. Things like Zebec, things like Telcoin for remittances and things like that is definitely needed in this world. And just imagine that Zebec touches 5% of the payroll market. But again, the way things are going in the world right now with inflation, streaming payroll is going to be 100% must, a necessity, right? Hands down. That's not even a belief. I'm pretty much certain on that. Let's see here. Hey, Ru, could US Treasuries repoing gold's price before DTCC? Oh, sure. I'm not sure of the question there, Phantom Beat, but I know pretty soon here, if they're saying that they want the Clarity Act passed by next week, and here's another thing to note for those who who kind of tie astrology to investing. We have a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse coming August 12th, 2026. Look it up. These tend to be bullish times for Bitcoin. And if we look at the Bitcoin chart and things like that, it seems to be exhausted. Like here, coming up here in the next month, we might have a little pop-up, right? Yeah, we just might have a little pop-up coming here in the next few months. Let's bring up here the Bitcoin chart, and you can see on the monthly, the 3-week, the 2-week, the week, the monthly. Okay, the day looks like it wants to come down, but on the larger time frames, it looks like we're pretty exhausted as far as Bitcoin's concerned. I think the bottom might be in, man. It just might be in. Now, when you look at things like this with the solar eclipse, and you look at things like Trump saying he wants the Clarity Act passed next week, coming up here within the next month, man, it might be some bullish times. And then mentioning what you're mentioning with, we know that DTCC is moving towards full tokenization in October. Here in the next few months, man, we might have a positive market. I know everybody's expecting Bitcoin to go to 40K, but I don't know if that's going to happen, man. I really don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah, Unicorn Girl said she left to watch the World Cup. She came in. She was respectful. No worries. She was respectful. Hey, we provided Mr. Forsyth with the U.S. white paper, and he chose to make it like ZBCN was being dishonest. You know what I mean? I don't know about that like how he was going with the white paper. I know he said they changed it, but then what he showed to me, it just seemed like they updated it to say, look, we don't do burns. I don't know, and I think people took that to mean that they were lying. But to me, again, like you said here, like I've shown here, with the updated tokenomics, they never said that they did burns. Under the section labeled buybacks and burns, they don't say that they do burns. And this has been this way for the total time. So to make it seem as though they were lying or something like that, and Simon himself came out and said, no, we don't do burns, but we're going to look at changing that. I think people are being a little bit disingenuous, but I'm not saying that he is, because it seemed like he just presented the information, but I don't know. You know what I mean? other than what he presented, I don't know if he tried to make it seem like they were lying or not. I don't know. To me, again, going back to what Simon said, going back to the tokenomics that were posted since January, it doesn't say that they do burns. Simon addressed it. He said that they don't do burns. So anything other than that, you know. Ask Fireblocks about the 250 million. Exactly. The 250 million ZBCN they bought, and people thought this project was a scam, real clown behavior. So yes, Fireblocks bought 250 ZBCN, 250 million ZBCN around the when Cybos was happening, right? What do they know? We know Fireblocks. Shout out to our guy Maximus Crypto. We know Fireblocks has the keys to custody, if you will, as far as like Quant goes, as far as Canton goes. We understand Fireblocks and what they do, right? The fact that they went out and bought 250 million ZBCN should really make people think, right? Again, Candy Corn, I was there on when Zebec was on stage, when Simon was on stage. Let's just bring that up right quick. At a conference, both David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse were at, where he announced the partnership. Let's show you right here. He announced it right on stage. It's posted here. He went on right after Brad Garlinghouse.
For our business, and we're excited to see what's next with the Clarity Act as well.
Yeah, that's a very exciting, I guess, prospect. So how do you guys deal with these enterprise consumers who
is one of the fastest in processing speeds, low cost. It has enormous trust amongst institutions and enterprises, which is really important for Zebec because we work with some of the largest corporates, enterprises in the world. They need an institutional grade chain. They need someone with the track record of Ripple. And then Ripple, of course, has the infrastructure components that we can plug into. Things like Ripple payments for on and off ramp. RippleNet, which already works with over 300 financial institutions. And of course, Ripple has 75 licenses globally. So without that infrastructure and backbone, we wouldn't be able to work together.
Yeah, you mentioned the licensing.
So there it is. There it is. Let me go back further where he officially announced it. And of course, it's going to spool on me.
Cost. So through the smart contract engine that we built at Zebec, that's our core technology, and it's the perfect fit with the payroll use case. Now, payroll's been our home, but we can see this technology going into any aspects of the economy where you're making payments in real time.
Payroll on chain is kind of a really interesting use case. You look at these real world flows. Like where do you go from here? What's next for you? You mentioned an announcement. I don't know if you want to hop into that.
Well, as I'm sure many of our community members know, that Zebec has been in talks with Ripple now for a long, long time, and we're making it official. Zebec is officially partnering with Ripple to build enterprise-grade payroll on the XRPL, settled in RLUSD.
Congratulations. Yeah.
A huge milestone, and I think we're incredibly excited to be working with Ripple. We see so many synergies with their network, with their enterprises, with their community, and I think this is really the perfect marriage with Zebec.
I was there. I was literally there. So this is not AI. This is not fabricated. I was there. I was in the crowd. I was one of the people cheering when this happened. Right after he went off stage, he did an interview with the channel. Shout out to Simon for that. So I was there. He announced it. He went on right after Brad Garlinghouse. This cannot be refuted. I was there, right? So I don't know what else you guys want for that. But here, let me see. I inadvertently stopped sharing here. So it's there for people to see. I don't know what else they want from that, right? Let me. Okay, let's continue on here. So I think we can put that comment to bed. We should find out roughly how many ZBCN holders no longer hold after the FUD. I bet it's not even 1% of the holders. Conviction is real root. Yep. And again, I think stable coins are inevitable. It's programmable money. It's going to give the powers that be a better control over money. And ZBCN having streaming payroll is also inevitable. So again, I don't, any holders that drop off, that's up to them, right? But when this comes into fruition, which doesn't seem like too long from now, I think a lot of people are going to regret it. Not financial advice, but that's just me. So let's continue. You're right. It's not with XRP. The partnership is with Ripple. Nah. Let me guess. You're not here to save us all. Prove the XRP is official partner. Link. Well, we just proved that he announced it on XRP Las Vegas. I can also prove to you that Ripple and Zebec share investors. We can bring that up right now, right? If you want an official link and you can't read the tea leaves between Ripple sharing investors, Simon Babakani being on stage at the XRP Las Vegas conference and announcing that they were partners, I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, if you want to wait until somebody says something else, it's up to you. But again, here we go. XRP investors, Lightspeed. Let's bring up Zebec. Zebec investor, Lightspeed. So not only do they share investors, not only was Simon Babakani on stage at XRP Las Vegas announcing this, not only was I actually there and interviewed the man after he did the speech, which I'll show you that right now. This is just the B-roll.
Okay, sweet. All right, let me get this set up.
So if you guys want that exclusive interview, it's in my Patreon. So I was literally there. I don't know what else to tell you, bro. Person. Said the unicorn girl switched account. No, this person seems a lot more disrespectful than unicorn girl. Let's see here. I'm not on the FUD team holding hard with multi mills. What's up, Truly Free? Just don't understand so many partnerships and links and reasons for pump, but nothing. Going down hard, but not to be scared. Well, we're in a bear market right now, so everything's gone down. And I would say, just by the chart, even with what's going on right now, ZBCN is doing pretty okay. Pretty okay. So let's continue. Yeah, it's Moon Girl, I know. Did they change their MiCA white paper to remove the part about burns just last week? Genuinely asking. I don't think they actually had in the MiCA white paper that they did burns. I could tell you for certain it wasn't in this. It wasn't in the data tokenomics. So I'll do with my money what I want. Indeed, indeed. What's up, Joshua Tree Heavy Hauling? Pimp and dump. May I borrow that? Talking about pimps. Let's just get a little pimp slap in here for that comment.
What did the five fingers say to the face? What? Slap!
Unity! Charlotte Murphy. Darknesses. Shout out to Dave Chappelle. R.I.P. Charlie Murphy in here. Thanks for the fudge show, though. The only question anyone has is when we hear $10, 10 cents and $1, I'd be happy with a penny right now. Right meow. Right meow. Can't move. Missing all the other plays. Well, I mean, there are always plays. There's always conviction. What I say to the people in the Patreon, shout out to the Patreon. There's investments and then there's trading. You can have a pool of money for investing. You can have a pool of money for trading. Those are two different ways of going about things. And I like to do both. Maybe we can get rid of predatory practices of payday advance loans. Indeed. What's up, Montel Mero? What's up, SVJ in the house? Recycling tokens and buybacks. No burns. Well, people do buybacks, and sometimes people don't do burns, but he didn't close the door on that. Simon did say they would talk about that towards the end of the year. Tony S watching the game. Is the World Cup game on? Omni 257. Not that I voted for Burns is a sure lie. What would never happen? Burns are huge marketing draw. Come on, you know better. At least say that you don't know if it's a lie or not. Just taking it 100. Again, the whole Burn thing. I know that there was a 0 vote cast for Burns. You can look at that and say maybe there's something there for sure. I got you. I see what you're saying with that. But as far as where it stands with this document, this tokenization document, they don't say that they do burns, and it's been out since January. If you want to go with like shenanigans with votes, well, we could come back to how Justin Sun ended up with exchange that he owned 500 million XCN after doing what he did to XCN. We can talk about voting and companies. ZBCN isn't the only one, is what I'm saying. If you want to say voting and how the votes go and if things are truly decentralized when it comes to votes, well, that could be every crypto company. From XCN to Canton to ZBCN to everyone that does governance. Metallica is all of them. Like, I don't know. What do you want from that? But as far as transparency, I think Zebec's been most transparent. It's most transparent, a lot more transparent than other cryptocurrencies, put it that way. The FUD probably comes from all promised waves that never broke. ISO 20022, NADA, Super App, NADA, XRP, Las Vegas, and so on. Hard to believe those words after a while. Well, here's the thing about that. Clarity Act, Genius Act. Some of those laws don't take place, don't go into fruition until the beginning of 2027. So literally the way the laws were written made it and gave it a delay. Now, my thought on that is, do you have the stomach? Can you hold? These people know when they do certain things that life for most Americans and most people that are holding, that they don't have the ability to hold strong. This is how VCs beat us all the time. We don't have the ability to hold the 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in some cases, where then people actually make their money, right? Most retail doesn't have the patience to hold and let a investment come into fruition. But let's just go ahead and look at Bitcoin. And again, crypto moves quicker than a lot of different investments. So if we look at this and see here, there's a lot of noise on this chart. I might have to bring up a different Bitcoin chart. Okay, let's see this one, where people basically had to wait 13 years for Bitcoin to get to 100K, but it was down in the hundreds, right? How long did people have to wait for Bitcoin? Not that long when you consider things like Intel. Let's bring up Intel. Let's bring up some stocks. Why don't we? Going all the way back to 1973, where Intel was like 8 cents. People had to wait. Till at least 2001. What is that? 27 years to have Intel fully come to fruition. And people only had to wait 13 for Bitcoin, right? Like we think with crypto, like, because we have to wait 4 years because there's this 4-year cycle. When in stocks, people are waiting 2 decades. Gold. Let's bring up gold. Why don't we? What's the gold ticker? What were you guys not seeing that? So Intel, we went all the way over here. I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't think I was sharing it. But if you go all the way over to 1973, when Intel was under was 8 or 9 cents, right? Of course, I'm sure there's some stock splits that went into this and things like that and different things. But in actuality, people had to wait till 2021. So like literally like 27 years for Intel to come into fruition, where you look at Bitcoin in the BTC chart, it was a mere like 13 years and whoop, over 100 Bitcoin. And people are still complaining, right? Let's bring up a gold chart. So if we want to go all the way back to 1979, where gold was like $800, people flash forward. People had to wait 40 something years, 46 years for gold to get to 8,000 or 5,500 from $800. But I think this is how they beat us every time. We don't have the patience. We don't have the money to wait, right? And you think, okay, well, ISO happened, nothing happened. This happened, nothing happened. Well, just wait. Just wait. 2 to 3 years down the line, once all of this stuff kicks in, well, again, let's just say 2027, because that's when we know a lot of geniuses stuff kicks in. I think people are going to feel a lot happier about what's going on. Let's go to Mr. Man here. I think he has some stuff on this. Shout out to Mr. Man. Or maybe I won't be able to find it then. Okay, let me do a quick search. We're doing it live here. Okay, here we go. New Genius Act stablecoin rules deadlines missed by regulators. The legislation will still activate in January 2027, despite incomplete finalization. So, again, like, even though they missed the quote unquote deadline, everything's going to take effect January 18, 2027, regardless, leaving issuers preparing around rules that still can change. So I know, because shout out to Dana Love, like a lot of people were saying, oh, they had the deadline that was coming up, and it the deadline was supposed to be this week or something like that. Regardless, everything comes into effect January 18, 2027. Let's see, here we go. Genius has been law since 2025. What expired yesterday was the 1-year deadline for agencies to publish final implementation rules, and none did. The law takes effect in 2027 regardless. The regulators demanding compliance deadlines from issuers just missed their own deadline. Doesn't matter, because everything will go into effect 2027, January 18th anyway. So that's what a lot of us don't realize, that even though a lot of these laws are passed, things don't really go into effect until January 2027. Let's see here. How many years did Simon say they were burning ZBCN coins after supposed vote? I don't ever remember him saying that they were burning coins. But again, if you guys want to look, like, it's a real some of these votes are really iffy. I'll just say that some of these votes for every single coin is iffy. So if you're going to criticize the Zebec for coin votes, then you got to criticize them all. Crypto Native, give the video. Oh, what's up, Crypto Neptune? Shout out to Crypto Neptune. Definitely go give our brother Crypto Neptune a watch and subscribe as well. Let's bring up his channel right quick. I know Crypto Neptune does Telcoin content as well. Shout out to him. Definitely come over here, give brother Crypto Neptune a watch. And there you go. There's the Telcoin content. Shout out to you, brother. So definitely go give our brother Crypto Neptune a watch over here. Thanks for coming through, bro. Appreciate you. Let's go back to our chart here. Truly Fee has global adoption happened yet? Yeah, well, Tony with the peppers is getting kind of mad over here. Just stack while you can, hold and sell at the right time. Simple as that. Indeed, near's too expensive for me. For some reason, even though I'll buy quant any chance I get, no problem. Joshua Tree, I know how some people feel about certain things like that. Yeah, I got some quant. I got way more near. I like both of those projects. Don't sleep on Tau. Let's see here. People want to stay with Zebec or want to leave, expecting any kind of dip, shakeout, collapse again, abduction, a good Star Wars movie again. It's just the price we pay in an investment game, indeed. Excuse me. We just want dollars back so I can breathe again. I have to live somewhere. I hate now to keep from taking a where have you been? Glad to see you back. Maybe they were thralling your account. Hashtag ZBCN. Oh, I've been here, man. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I think a lot of I think ZBCN just got saturated with a lot of creators. That's all that is. But you know, good to see you here, Cam One. They just lead invest on with Burns. Now they change the documents and white papers and act like they never had Burns in their narrative. How's it not a scam? This document here that I've been referencing, the tokenomics, he never had Burns in it. So I don't know. I know how people are phrasing it, but this document, and I always reference it, it is always mentioned buybacks and not burns. That is the only place you can find the word burn, and nowhere in here does it say that they're burning tokens. It's been here. Okay, so that's just it. The buyback tokens will never be reintroduced into the market. You're the man, Rue, either way. Well, there's some question about that if the buyback tokens will be introduced into the market. Zebec put out a post where they said they're not, the bought back tokens are not reintroduced into the market. And then Joe Serrazo produced a post where he said Okay, here's the supposed address. And 6 months ago, they sold some of those bought back tokens. So that is within question. Okay. So let's see here. Omni 250 with the $5 super chat. They bought back over 456 million in 10 rounds. This is their own Medium post. The 1 million she mentioned is what they burned. Okay, got you. Okay, so they bought back 456 million, but they have already burned 1 million. Okay, because they did at one point in time have a burn, right? And I think what they realized is that they could not do a burn. And here's what I'm going to reference in that aspect. Let me bring up that post here. I know I have that post. Here, we're doing it live. Just give me a second. I know I saved that post somewhere. Just give me a second here. Why can't I find it? Okay, here it is. Here it is. So this is from Smoke. Is XRP deflationary? Now, the reason I use this, okay, and let's bring this and put this over here. Let's blow it up so you can see it. The XRP ledger requires a minimum transaction cost of 10 drops, 0.00001 XRP for each transaction. Transaction costs automatically increase when the load on the network is heavily increasing, making it very expensive when deliberately trying to overload the network. These transactions costs in XRP are not collected by anyone but destroyed. So XRP with every transaction destroys 401 XRP, 0.401 XRP. Now, ZBCN in a 2024 white paper said that they would do 1 ZBCN per transaction. Now, the reason that won't work is because it would crazy burn through their supply. Think about it. So, and then there's streaming payments, right? So how would it work? Is every second you send a payment, is that a transaction and you're going to burn ZBCN every second? Or is that transaction one transaction? If you're streaming the payment, they're getting paid by the second. So I don't even know how you would do that. What is one transaction in that instance, right? Okay, you could do that with remittance payments. Okay, one remittance payment is one transaction, one ZBCN. But I don't know how that will work for streaming payroll. And even with XRP, which we know XRP, they share the same tokenomics in that they're 1 billion coins. So it for sure as hell wasn't going to work with 1 ZBCN per transaction, because you would have tore through the supply of ZBCN, which you can see the max supply is 100 billion tokens. So if you're going to have streaming payroll, I don't know the answer to that question. You definitely can't do 1 ZBCN per transaction. Or how do you even define a transaction in that case? So I'm going to leave it to them, and I'm sure they have economists and they have projections, statisticians that understand what ZBCN projects out and how long it projects out over the next 5 years with certain adoption and different things like that, that can tell them, okay, this is what you can and can't do when it comes to burn. But they for sure as hell can't do 1 ZBCN per transaction. I don't think. Not when it comes to streaming payroll. And I don't know if you can connect it to streaming payroll because okay, then you would have to do a rate, like it's burned per this much per second or this much per hour. And I don't know that they want to do that. Maybe if you tied it to remittance payments, maybe if you tied it to card swipes, but then again, you're going to have a statistician or a quant or an economist, someone who understands supremely what the numbers are so you don't burn through your supply. So yeah, so just referencing our the way that XRP does its burn according to Smoke, I don't know the answer, but I know it definitely isn't 1 ZBCN per transaction. So let's continue on in the comments. Buy more ZBCN from profits. Zebec integrating RLUSD is probably the partnership, which is its integration of the stablecoin, not the partnership. In a bullish type of partnership is being made to mean they do many stablecoins. Well, when you listen to Simon on stage at the XRP Las Vegas conference, he says about the Treasury flywheel. So he's been mentioning Treasury and dropping hints about Treasury. It's even in this tokenomics thing here where they talk about Treasury. I think the key is with Ripple when it comes to Treasury. Ripple has a product called G Treasury that ties very nicely into payroll. So if a company is already using stable coins for their treasury, and then they on top of that use ZBCN for payroll along with that treasury product, that seems like a very, very synergistic type of thing. So that's where the partnership is, in my mind, based off of what Simon said at XRP Las Vegas. And I'm actually curious if I look up G Treasury, if they still have their site, if anybody from Zebec actually follows G Treasury. Let me see. So this is Ripple's site, G Treasury. I think it's now renamed to Ripple Treasury. Let's see if anybody from Zebec follows them. Could be something, could be nothing, right? JV follows them. So JV from Zebec follows G Treasury. This is Ripple's treasury product. So clearly there's some connections there. We'll see how far that goes though. But I think the connection is Ripple's doing G Treasury. G Treasury will fully automate a company's treasury. Remember, because what Simon announced is that Zebec is working with Ripple when it comes to enterprise payroll. So I think it rolls all the way up in that. Cryptonomics, always messing with our guy Reggie. Shout out to Reggie Middleton. You got all the partnerships you want, but if you have no user adoption, it's worthless. I agree with you with that on SVJ which is why they have adoption in the areas that they can have adoption, i.e., with World Liberty Financial, they have adoption there, right? They have adoption with in Europe with Euro AU. What's up, Underdog Research Channel? Blackrue, I hope you are well. I missed the live, but I'll get caught up. Appreciate you, brother. Definitely go check out our brother Underdog Research Channel. Let me show you where you can find him at. Again, mosey on down on my channel. And you can see right there, Underdog Research Channel. Let's see his latest video. This is a banger of a video, guys. I suggest everybody. Oh, they're all bangers of a video, right? They're all bangers. Well, let me correct myself on that. They're all bangers. But I particularly love this. He says, "Real, fake, or stage digital forensics investigation on the Mitch McConnell proof of life thing." If you guys don't know this about Underdog, he says it in the video, so I'm not doxing anything, but he's in the area of digital forensics, and he does a digital forensic breakdown on whether that Mitch McConnell video or proof of life photo is actually real. So definitely go check that out. That was really fun to see some of the techniques the digital forensic people do. So definitely go check out our brother Underdog Research's video on that. You know, a little outside of the world of crypto, but something definitely fun because it could have implications if Mitch is around or not actually around or not on different policy votes. So definitely go check that out. What's up, Mr. Baby Ears? What's up, Charmizzle? I'll gladly buy a ZBCN. I'll gladly buy a ZBCN, indeed. I don't remember any interviews where Simon said that they did burns. I remember him saying buybacks. I don't know. I'll have to go check that out. I do not remember him saying in a video that they do burns. I know in the latest spaces he said they don't do burns. Simon has even posted a picture of him inside a Ripple office. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Only, for the $10 super chat. They said they would do burns in Zip 7, September 24th, or September 2024, after Zip 4, which is what everyone keeps referring to. Tried to paste it in the link, but it won't let me pull that up. Okay, so I know there was a vote on whether they did or did not do burns, and the vote was overwhelmingly, there was no votes for doing burns. All the votes were for the buyback. Yes, I saw that information. But again, if you look at a lot of companies, if you look at a lot of governance votes, they look kind of weird. So that's every cryptocurrency. But anyways, haters will say it's AI. I was there also, and he definitely said it on stage. New wave, 100%. Yeah, so I don't see why people keep debating the Ripple partnership. He literally said it on stage at the XRP Las Vegas concert. Conference. There's nothing to like. This is silliness. I'd rather watch a soccer game. Nothing new to see here. Yeah, go ahead and watch the soccer game. But I guess you dropped in to say a comment. I appreciate that. So that goes to my watch time. There you go. people were asking me to address the FUD, so I'm addressing it. But I appreciate you being in the house, Neobank, XXX. Let's see here. Mr. Baby Ears, DCA fam. The world is slowly transitioning away from cash. Stablecoins will result in streaming and payments that settle immediately. Streaming payments through Zebec is already here. I agree with that 100%. Totally. Star that comment. Here's could say it better myself, brother. Love it. Like, the world is slowly transitioning away from cash. Here in America, like, I know some people, when's the last time you even used cash? We all use Apple Pay and Google Pay to tap. And it's going to continue to be like that. I wonder when people say it's a bull market, these coins still don't do crap. Well, some coins are doing stuff. Near's doing stuff. Zebec's doing stuff. Canton's doing stuff. Ethereum's doing stuff. There are coins that are actually doing stuff. Tron is doing stuff. Even KuCoin announced to recognize the partnership of Zebec and Ripple. And various other members of the XRP community have done this too. Zach Rector has, James Rule, XRP, a plethora of people. In fact, like, once that Ripple partnership went real, and once the Stellar partnership went real, and notice nobody's debating Stellar partnership, right? That's when a lot of people started to take notice with Zebec. Hold strong. You mentioned my girl Tammy Camp. Shout out to Tammy Camp. Fireblocks IPO coming soon. Oh wow, what's up, J Courts? That's interesting, right? Like, and I wish I had enough bread to be a accredited investor. I tell you what, accredited investors make so much money. Like, that's why, like, when you see, like, they're with all of these IPOs, they like stream it out. SpaceX, all of this stuff. Almost all IPOs are doomed to hit the bottom, right? Because the initial accredited investors are now taking their profits. This is how it happens. What is SpaceX ticker? I think that's it, right? Look at that thing, man. It's probably going to continue to go down. Like, this is every time. This is everything, all the time. Nobody says anything about this, though, right? And the whole thing was, oh, people are moving money to get into SpaceX. Nobody talks about this junk, right? Oh, people are moving their money around because this is going to be the biggest IPO ever. And dumb. Oh my goodness, that's a good. That just reminded me of that. Thank you for that, Jay Quartz. You can't compare BTC to ZBCN. Who controls BTC? What company or foundation is behind BTC and manipulates its tokenomics and or circulation supply? Well, there is a company behind Bitcoin. I forget what they're called. They're the one who created the Lightning network, the Lightning platform. I think it's called Blockstream. So, I mean, and in a certain sense, you got the miners. So Bitcoin isn't, and now you got BlackRock too, holding that large cache of Bitcoin with this ETF. And of course, you got MicroStrategy. So Bitcoin isn't really the whole indie thing that it was anymore. They're not that anymore. And then Blockstream, right? Building the rails for Bitcoin finance, enterprise, consumer, and asset management. Future runs on Bitcoin. Remember there when Jeffrey E was in the news, Blockstream got a lot of pub going towards them because it was said that they're allegedly that there might have been some connection to Jeffrey E, which that's been since like refuted, like, or not totally refuted. Like he gave some money to Blockstream and they basically gave it back. And that was the end of the story. So yeah, you can kind of compare it to Bitcoin, but my point in comparing it to Bitcoin was investing, right? An investment. People don't have the patience. Like Bitcoin was a marvel at its time with what it was doing. I'm saying Zebec here with streaming payments. Are people having the stomach to hold to get to the other side where genius and everything is going to put into play what it's going to put into play for stable coins? Same thing when I reference Near as a project. Do people have the stomach to sit back and wait until Near comes into fruition with what it's doing with agentic AI and being the settlement layer for agentic AI and having connections to NVIDIA, which I've shown you guys before too, that is kind of implied that Near might be embedded into the hardware of NVIDIA. So could we see $100 Near? We just might, and we just might see $100 Near, which sounds like a lot, but that's only a 50x from here, right? But yeah, I was comparing it to Bitcoin to just show you how long it took people to realize the ultimate gains from Bitcoin. It was it took 13 years. It wasn't just, okay, well, the Clarity Act passed and woo, Bitcoin went to the moon, or oh, Tim Draper invested and Bitcoin went to the moon. It was 13 years, right? Which is a lot quicker than a lot of other things I showed. Intel, which is a lot quicker than gold, which is a lot quicker than a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. Like in the crypto market, people should be really, you should feel really lucky because a lot of these different coins, this is not the full Near chart, but a lot of these different coins, you got the invested peanuts and they turned into $2 coins, $10 coins, $100 coins, $200 coins, right? Solana, right? Case in point, could have been bought for $8, right? And it went up to 200 and it's still at 80 right now, right? Just to name a few. And if you're lucky to invest right back here, this isn't even the most recent chart. Or this isn't the oldest chart, I should say. If you're lucky enough to invest, I remember seeing this back in 2020 when Solana was like $1. A freaking dollar on different cryptocurrency exchanges like KuCoin and things like that. Crazy. And people, but that's to say people literally don't have the patience to wait 5 years to see investment come to fruition. Why would Zebec get ISO 222 certified just to be a scam? The process alone, just getting that had to be verified, shows Zebec is legit. 100%. ISO verified, MiCA verified, FCA verified, SOC 2 verified. Just the process alone of going through that and being allowed, quote unquote, to go through these compliances alone shows that Zebec is legit and they're hanging around the legit people, right? Because as much as those compliances are prove that you're worthy, they're gatekeeping too, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Right? So yeah, you have to have tons of money to do these compliances. And that alone does show that they're legit. You see, even though the basics of BTC to be asking those questions, SVJ. Oh yeah, I think SVJ just misunderstood what I was saying there. What I was saying is that, took 13 years for Bitcoin to come to fruition, and people can't even wait 5 for Zebec. All that aside, I'd love to hear your thoughts on why companies would go with ZBCN instead of established companies like ADP. Just for a fee discount, ADP will probably use stables just to confirm their model. Well, Zebec has ADP C-level executives on their platform, on their advisory board. They have Sure on their that they're connected with. That company is partly owned by BlackRock. BlackRock owns shares in Assure. My answer to that question is look at Zebec's investors, and it's very clear to me that there's a plan there. Sure, well, is there some connection to Zebec and ADP? I'm sure there just might be. But when you look at this list of investors, the Lightspeeds and the Brayer Capitals of the world, the Gemini Exchange, Solana, OKX, all these different exchanges, right? Coinbase Ventures, Circle, all these different money movers. Seems to me like Zebec is important when it comes to moving money, right? And that they're going to have their own. They're gonna definitely be a player when it comes to moving money. They've shown this time and time again, even getting connected with World Liberty Financial, Deutsche Bank, you name it. Seems like to me that Zebec is going to be important when it comes to moving money. What do you think is going to happen for Zebec? Well, the first thing I think is going to happen for Zebec is that they break their all-time high. Their all-time high, according to CryptoRank.io, is 5 cents. That would mean that around $5 billion in liquidity will be into Zebec coin. I thoroughly see that happening within the next couple of years. Could happen by middle of 2027. Could happen by the middle of 27. So like a year from now. But definitely in the next couple of years. ADP Workday, Gusto adding stablecoins via middleware, Toku, Zero Hash, Bitwage. Can Zebec still capture a big enough piece of the pie against these legacy oligarchs entering the crypto space? Well, we know they're partnered with Zero Hash. They have executives from ADP, former ADP executives on their board. I think that proves to people like ADP and different things like that, hey, guys, we're keeping in mind what you're doing. We recognize that you're like the big dogs in the space, and we're just going to carve out our little piece, right? And then when you have people like Jim Brayer on board, right? He has it on their he has ZBCN on his list of investments. The man has invested into things like Meta, like Epic Games. You don't think this guy knows the lay of the land and how to make sure that Zebec succeeds? Let's just bring him up right quick. So billionaire worth 2.9 billion. Let's go to his Brayer Capital site. So you can see the quality of things this guy is invested in. So Brayer Capital, Breyer Capital. Circle, which we know is a big investor in Zebec. Meta, Spotify, Etsy, Grammarly, Marvel, 21st Century, Fox, Epic Games, Walmart. And then if you go to his portfolio, you'll see that Zebec is a part of that portfolio. So you don't think that these guys know how to navigate around ADP, or to make sure ADP is included, make sure that Zebec doesn't step on toes and has everything it needs to move forward? Again, that's how you get SOC 2 compliances, MiCA compliances, all of this, right? By having people like a Jim Brayer on board, by having partners like World Liberty Financial, right? And again, I definitely think that Tim Draper is indirectly invested as well, because you see Coinbase Ventures here. Tim Draper owns a piece of Coinbase, which I've shown people before, but we can bring that up. Coinbase, Robinhood. So, yeah. Yeah. So it's not a doubt in my mind that they're not poised to do what they need to do for the future. Eyes wide open. Yeah. Go ahead and sell if that's what you want to do. Go right ahead. But again, what I'm saying is it's inevitable that people get paid in real time, because if you look at the economy, if you look at inflation and the way inflation's going, people cannot afford it, guys. They cannot afford it. There's payday loans. There's people doing the Klarna thing and all of this other stuff, because literally they can't afford groceries. They can't. So payday loan. So Zebec's the future. That's where we're headed. I'll read the super chat. What's up, Flight Fan? How's Cookie Doll holding up as a company? I hear they're dabbling into Robinhood, trying to get exposure on that exchange. I have no idea what Cookie Doll is. I'm sorry. Cool show, Rue. Thank you, Tim Crampton. Been a while, brother. Appreciate you. What is Swift doing? I haven't looked into them lately. I'll have to take a look. Mars still early for SpaceX, though, for SpaceX. Hey, again, accredited investors are always going to get theirs first. So that's why with most IPOs, you're fighting an uphill battle. People won't tell you this because otherwise they won't have people to dump on, right? But Accredited investors are always going to get theirs. They're the people that invested in here before it was available to the public. There are people like, what's his name? Juan Hernandez, the guy who was like the welder, who like as part of his welding contract, he was able to buy private SpaceX stock. Of course, when it went up to 1 million, you think he's still holding? No. So SpaceX is probably going to dump for a good 6 months. This happens every time, every IPO. Well, let's look at Circle stock. Up at the beginning a little bit and down. The accredited investors have to take their profits. Oh, was I not showing that? Let me go back. Circle stock down. And then SpaceX stuff, going back to that. Down. Happens every time. What was the one, like, I think it was like called Snowflake or something like that. There are so many of these IPOs. But then after that initial kind of like 6 months after they come out, then they rebound. But generally in the beginning, the accredited investors are taking theirs. ISO is not a certification, but a compliance standard. They met on standard compliance for ISO. Yes, and that's it. So like we're kind of incorrect about it, or not incorrect, but it's not like MiCA where you're MiCA compliant. It's just a standard. But when we talk about MiCA and we talk about things like SOC 2, that is completely accurate. But yeah, so they're not going to go through all of the things to be MiCA compliant and SOC 2 compliant. ISO is more of a standard where, yeah, you're right on that, Chris Offit. What's up, brother? Appreciate you coming through. You don't think they manipulated the Dow vote when there are 0 votes? I bet you would have voted. Like I said, those votes with a lot of things that different crypto companies do. Those votes are they're interesting, right? And this is the way it's set up. Zebec is not targeting payroll. You guys did not dig deep enough into what Zebec is. What's up, Michael Matisse? Payroll is just one of the avenues that they target. It's payroll. Then you got the card swipe. So there's that. There's treasuries. There's like 5 different avenues that Zebec can hit. I think we have it here in the. There's lending too, because you can do payroll lending. So even if you're getting paid real time, you can lend on top of that. There's investing. So there are multiple different avenues with the stack. It's not just payroll. That's why when they kind of compare it to Handle Pay, it's like, oh man, there's so many more things that Zebec can do than just what Handle Pay does, where it's paying you by your mind you, I'm a Handle investor. Handle's just paying you from your social media handle. But Zebec is doing treasury, payroll, card swipes, remittances, lending. There's so much more involved with the super app in that. For enterprises, for regular people investing. Well, I think Simon did get in front of everything. He said it himself. He said, we don't do burns. Well, we're going to look into it. I think he got ahead of everything. I think that just people just look at the headlines, and I don't know I'm not sure what all the creators said on it, but yeah. I am not paid by Zebec. I am not paid by Zebec. Nor have I ever been paid by Zebec. Zebec does payroll. Their main focus is cards as of late, between partnerships and all they do, including their main focus is the cards as of late, but between partnerships and all they do, including 1.5 billion per year in payroll and the 65K being paid this way, we can speculate. Zebec themselves says that they're empowering the token. They say that they're doing buybacks for their token. I don't know what you mean by they don't have any use for the token. Not sure what you mean by that. And Circle is an investor in them. So I don't know why Circle will put so much money into them for them not to use the token. Let's see here. They said this about every crypto: ZBCN must be used and kept as a part of the company model. ZBCN model shows it cannot be used without ZBCN. This is old FUD. And again, I'll point you to the fact that Fireblocks came and bought 250 million ZBCN tokens. Let me see if I can pull that out of my bookmark. So if there's no use for it, why would Fireblocks buy 250 million of it? Let me pull that out of my bookmarks really quickly. Doing it live here. Massive for ZBCN. This is October 8th, 2025. Fireblocks HQ and the 8 billion custody giant powering the $4 trillion in crypto market transfers for BNY Mellon, Revolut, and 1,800 plus institutions just scooped up 250 million ZBCN tokens. This is institutional rocket fuel for Zebec's PayFi revolution. Sleeping giant waking up. Strap in. And they show on chain where Fireblocks does that buy. Shout out to Zorro, and shout out to Crypto Wheels for the repost of that. Okay, let's go. Chimo being wound down for bad management doesn't change Zebec's actual protocol, utility, or tech. So we got a couple fudders in here. It's a lot of comments in here with the fudders here. So yeah, let's see here. New Jack City 2 starring Ruel Black. I'm excited David and No Face get price down to 0.0004 for me. 3 zeros. I'm okay with it. I know what it is. Relax. Go save yourself. Butler and No Face. What's up, Purple Rain 225? Rue, you need to a mod to block the wankers. Indeed, indeed. Well, I blocked one of them. The one of them that said I was getting paid by them, because I'm definitely not paid by Zebec. And I'm not going to take that because I'm not paid by any of them. Okay. But all the other comments from David, I'm not sure. I'm trying to read them all. There's a lot of stuff going on in the comments here. All right, so big, yeah, I definitely do need a mod to take care of these when I'm not when I'm trying to do the show though. But anyways, we'll just end it here. 2 hours and 42 minutes. I'm a little tired, and yeah. Bottom line, you guys do your own research and you do your own looking into it here. I'm fine with the project. I'm fine with what I hold. I was there in XRP Las Vegas, at XRP Las Vegas, with Simon saying what he said about Ripple. I'm very sure that that's a partnership. You know, if you want to go and believe these guys and some of, you know, what they're saying, and, you know, I would look into some of these guys themselves, right? And see what their track record is. Just saying. I would look into some of these guys and see what their track records are. But for me, I'm very secure and happy with where I am in the project. And yeah, just do your own research. It's up to you whether you want to stay in or not. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I presented what Mr. Foresight, Joe Zarasso's, shout out to them, what they've said. And, you know, bottom line here is this document's been up and it doesn't mention burns. Simon addressed that there were no burns. He hasn't ruled out burns. At the end of the day, where Zebec is going to make its money to me is the fees. They can charge multiple fees on the super app. It's just like how you say, don't have just one stream of income. Well, they can charge fees on multiple things. The card program, the streaming payroll, the investing, the remittance program. There can be fees charged on all those different things, including diming handing for coupons on possibly Sephora or discounts in the app. You know, that's what I'm here for. And we'll continue to cover projects like Zebec, projects like Near, that are making money right now, okay, in the real world. So thank you guys for coming through, and I'm out. Peace.